Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I thought I would chat with you guys and gals about something that doesn't get discussed in enough detail, but I am definitely not the only person to discuss this. In fact, I had made some videos about it a while back, and then I saw shortly later even like Paul Carter made similar videos on the same topic. And no, it doesn't mean that I think he copied me. I think that we both just have a good understanding of the topic. Because we're both experienced coaches, we read the research, and we've been in the game a long time. And that kind of matters in this context. And that's this idea people have. They're like, but if I bulk faster, I get strong faster. And I'm like, but not on every lift. Some of your lifts do. And then that makes people pause for a minute. Like, wait, what? You're right. Like, yeah. Like if you bulk faster, your deadlift doesn't seem to always go up quicker, but like your bench press and your squat will. Does that make sense? So certain lifts will go up. So the idea that people have is, well, then if I bulk faster, and the lifts are getting stronger, then I'm progressively overloading more. It's like, yes and no, not really. So here's the thing. We know, looking at studies, a surplus isn't even required to gain muscle. Let's be clear. You can gain muscle without a surplus. So if someone says, well, I'm staying at the same body weight, therefore that's why I'm not gaining muscle, no, your training sucks. Sorry, your training sucks. Because every study that's ever looked at it has found that a surplus is not required for growth. Is a small surplus better than no surplus for growth? Yes, but it's not a requirement. Like you might gain twice as much muscle. Yeah, you might gain twice as much. But twice as much of zero is not. Would just be zero, you know. But we know that we don't have to do that. We've even seen muscle growth in deficits, sometimes even in fairly advanced lifters, if the deficit's small enough and the protein is high enough. So yeah, you should be able to gain muscle without gaining body weight. But we also know that large surpluses, like 10% and up, don't cause more muscle growth than very tiny surpluses. And that's one that's hard for people to get their heads around. Like their 10% is only like 300 calories. Yeah, it's mostly fat gain at that point. If you're not a ranked novice, it's fat. You're just gaining fat. Sorry, you're still gaining muscle, but you would have gained the same muscle on 50 calories more. Like if your maintenance is 3,000 and you just added 50 calories somehow, that would maximize your muscle growth. Small surpluses maximize growth. Large surplus, and yes, the 10% is large. People say, how is 10% large? Like 300 calories a day? You're going to gain like 2.5 to 3 pounds a month. You know how few people are going to gain 2 pounds of muscle a month? Very, very much only complete rank novices, nobody else. And only for a short period of time. And that's exceeding 2. You're getting up closer to 3 pounds of weight. So it's going to be mostly fat. For most people, that's going to be over 50% fat, if not more. Okay. So people say, well, why is the case? If we get stronger on the higher surplus and the higher bulk doesn't cause more muscle growth in the lab, why are we getting stronger? And if we're getting stronger, why is it not causing more growth? It should be having more progressive overload. And the answer is multifold. You're getting stronger because you're improving your leverages. But you're not getting increased overload on the muscle itself, and that's the problem with the extra weight. Let me put it this way. If you cheat more weight up on a curl, did you have more progressive overload? They're like, no, you used other muscles. All right, so did the biceps work harder? No. So what happens if you're on a curl and you cut the last inch out of the bottom? How about a bench press? So on a bench press, if you cut an inch out of the bottom, you do a half board. Are you possibly a little stronger? Well, I was like, yeah, dude, my 8 rep max, I can probably do 9 or 10 reps with it. Okay. So did you overload the muscles more? They're like, well, obviously no. Because, if I reached failure at both, then no, I didn't. It was the same amount of work, really, as far as the muscles are concerned, because it failed with more reps. Exactly. So isn't it the same thing if you're gaining a bunch of intermuscular water and it cuts the range of motion and changes the internal leverages? You're just making the weight a hair easier to lift. So yeah, your bench, you might put another 10 pounds in that training cycle on over what you would have with a less bulk. Because the lift is easier. You've improved leverages. You didn't actually gain muscular strength. You just gained fat and water, mostly fat. going to change your leverages a little, sure. Squats, think, oh man, that's a big one. Think about where we store fat. Man, the more belly squish against the thighs you get, that's the hardest part of the squat is the bottom. Gaining body fat makes your squat skyrocket. Okay? So do you see where we're going with these bulks? This is why you gain a little more strength, because you're gaining body fat. But what about overload on the muscles? Well, no, because if you're making the lift easier, you're not putting more tension on the muscle. Just like if you cheat on the curl, and so that you can use 35 instead of 30s, but you still hit failure at the same number of reps, you increase tension on the biceps, you're just cheating. Biceps not going to grow more from that. Same thing with these other big lifts. You've reduced tension, and you're reducing tension at the point of greatest mechanical tension. So where's the quad get the most work on a squat? At the bottom. Right? That's why deeper squats usually build slightly bigger quads than right at parallel. More mechanical tension on the quad because you're putting it into a deeper angle. Even if you are forced to use slightly less weight to get that extra 3 inches of depth, putting more tension on the muscle. Same thing with bench pressing. At bottom, that's where the pecs get worked the most. Not saying they're not worked higher up, but the tension is higher. But we're reducing tension with the squish. So light bulbs should be clicking on by now. We're making the exercise easier at the hardest part where the most mechanical tension is. We're reducing tension on the muscle with the belly squish and the fat and the leverages, okay? So no, it's not going to cause more muscle growth. It's letting you just lift more weight. You're not necessarily lifting more because the muscle is producing more force. You're lifting more because of external leverages, or in some cases, internal leverages. That doesn't cause more muscle growth. So essentially, if we're bulking fast enough to gain fat, we're not gaining more muscle. We're feeding our ego and we're feeding our fat cells. This is stuff I wish I would have known a long time ago. I would have gotten lean and just stayed lean. Now I'm going through the process of just been slowly chipping down while trying to make gains again. All right? I still got a little ways to go from where I want to be. In these clips, a lot leaner than I used to be. Stuff that I wish I had known and all of us had known and fully understood many years ago. We're now learning more and more through both observing elite athletes, learning it in the lab. So hopefully this next generation gets it. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys and gals next time.